I'm giving over to JP Minetos, our lead game analyst. Come on over here.
All right, thank you, Felix. I know I'm kind of coming off the heels of some really good presentations, some really good talks. Really enjoyed that last panel. Yeah, so, we kind of started touching on these earlier today. We had a lot of great presentations around the future of gaming and the future of XR. And I just want to create a preface before we have some of our really great portfolio founders and come up to speak and share some of their experiences. But I just want to share some of the changing dynamics we are seeing in the social and gaming landscape. So one of the biggest things that we've seen with social media, and just as Felix was saying, was the connective tissue of everything and how we are getting deeper and deeper engaged. However, there's sort of a limitation inside of social media where you actually start to feel a little bit more disconnected. And one of the changing dynamics that we're seeing in real time is gaming as a more immersive platform to connect with others. And we're seeing this throughout growth of gaming on a economic level where we're seeing increased sales, revenue numbers, player numbers, where we are approaching late majority in adoption, but still seeing a lot of new ways that people are interacting with games, especially socially, where you're seeing most of Gen Z, primarily Gen Alpha and as well Gen X and millennials, using games as a form of connective tissue, where a majority are using it to identify themselves socially and as well to generate and make new friends. We have a lot of really good talks coming up on this point. Yep, and these platforms are being used. Minecraft has 170 million or so monthly active users, Fortnite 70 million, and Counter-Strike, one of the largest first-person shooters, actually has a major tournament going on right now, just recently hit almost 2 million concurrent users at the same time. This is where people are choosing to spend their time and invest into their energy with relationships. And I think, largely speaking, what are we seeing the biggest differences between social media and gaming? Social media has turned into a unrecorded relationship of being more of an observer versus where gaming, you're a participant and you're active in the experience. And we're seeing that gaming allows us to invest in the best parts of humanity via digital expression, including identity, status, and camaraderie. And as we saw earlier with what Natalia was saying, identity is massive. One of the things we love about DressX is being able to express yourself digitally, one of the most important places, not only on your body through AR, but also into virtual experiences, such as in Roblox. Also a connection I have right here, this is Happy147. He's one of the largest VR YouTubers. One of our portfolio companies, AxeLab, they are creating Veil VR. They have a skin that you are able to download and play as to represent your identity that is aligned to Happy's social profile, and it's a way to express your identity. And here, this is a classic example of what's been working before has been in World of Warcraft with guilds and creating friends, going through experiences, and building novel adventures together. I think status is something that is one of the most fascinating, profound aspects of gaming that we don't really talk about enough, but is changing into the cultural zeitgeist. Okay, great. Yeah, you can see it here. So on the right here, we have a Rolex watch, and on the left, we have an in Counter-Strike game knife, Karambit. It is purely a cosmetic knife, nothing to help with. And on the right side, you can see the Rolex has always been a sort of a symbol of status. It's a way to be recognized by your peers, something that denotes a certain level of status. And that knife is now doing that for an entirely different generation who wants to present themselves in a certain way to a certain demographic. And these are going for comparable prices as well. And that there's an entire group of people that would rather spend their time inside signaling their identity, more focused on their digital presence than their physical presence. And so we're starting to see games becoming the status quo for social and interactivity, and a lot through younger generations. So I want to quickly touch on social, but now we're going to move on to some of the bigger innovations in gaming that we're seeing that we're excited about. And while there are copious developments going on, four that we're spending a lot of time looking at are Gen AI, Web3, UGC, and VR AR. Gen AI, this needs no introduction. It has been very hot in recent times and for given reasons, but we are seeing a massive democratization of development for the development process getting easier, and as well for players to share and build their own experiences inside. Daniel, our analyst at Metaverse Ventures, will give a better, deeper presentation on this, but that's something we're excited about. As well as Web3, right? We're seeing transactional value go through. We're seeing liquid markets, but oftentimes still you are either fragmented or stuck inside a silo ecosystem Web3 enables a certain level of fluidity, interoperability, and the ability to exit outside of an ecosystem and actually own your digital assets. And then VR, AR, we've heard a lot about it today, and with proper reasoning so. And once again, I really implore everybody to try the demos we have in the back. It's one thing to try to articulate it. It's an entirely different experience once you're in it. And it really is a next level of immersion. And I think Felix was mentioning this earlier today. I live most of my time in Atlanta, Daniel in Dubai, but we spend time with each other every day in social reality, right? In a virtual reality. And the presence is so much more immersive than ever being on a Zoom or on a call or even in a flat game, because you're able to express so much more inside of here. And no longer are you controlling a character, you become the character, because it's tracked to your locomotive movements. We have a lot of really good stuff coming up here from both MYR and Axe Labilator. And the last point I want to quickly touch on was UGC, which is user-generated content. As you can see here, this is Nexus Mods, one of the largest mod hosting platforms with millions of mods inside of it, and how we are seeing UGC create endless experiences for players and for users, and allows for seemingly endless variability and expression. So very excited about what's going on there and what we're seeing Epic Games do to continue the lifespan of Fortnite by creating new game modes inside of an engine. So we'll talk more about that later too. And here's a composition of what some of our portfolio companies look like. A lot of them actually didn't load in here, but where our portfolio at Harvard Metaverse Ventures and how they interact with these different levels of technology. Yeah, here you can see where they're acting in, where we have a lot that are either hitting all 4 or 3 or 2 of the sectors. And a lot of these founders are here today, so make sure to talk to them. And what does a exit look like in gaming? There are exits in place for this, either by acquisition. We're seeing that obviously Meta has been a very, very big player in acquiring VR studios. A lot of IP acquisitions, traditional studios coming in-house, or we even see companies going public and been really successful, where $23 billion that's missing, that's Roblox, and then Capcom at a $9 billion. Yeah, so there are massive valuations that can come of this, and then you can run a successful gaming company that can either go public, be profitable, or have an acquisition. And and I'll be around here later today, so if anyone has any questions to talk more about, I'd love to come have a conversation, and thank you everyone for coming out today.